covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Walls podcast, the final walkthrough edition and the first day after the death of the laptop.
Rest in peace, laptop.
It stinks. But anyways, week 10 is on our horizons, but we can't get to week 10 without important information for you, the fans. Remember, I'm Jim Mernier, aka the Sharks fandom people. I get hell of hatred from that. And of course, my partner in crime, 900 miles away from Indianapolis, Zach Kyleman.
Hey, yo. How's it going?
Okay.
I'm saying that to you people out there. Jim, obviously the laptop, I know how it's going for you right now.
Yeah, it's
you and I, we talk almost every day. I hope I know how you're doing. I swear. Yeah. I think I know how you are.
21 gun salute or 21 keys salute. That's what it is. 21 keys salute.
We'll do
no laptop. It went through. Name me a laptop that's last 5+ years. Anybody's. Mine did.
Mean, that's a good life for a laptop. You got a lot. You got your value out of it. I applaud you. You did good.
That's why I'm on my cell phone. Luckily, we have 5G. But anyways, thank you for listening to the show. Remember, you can follow us on every social media platform: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even NationalArenaLeague.com for up-to-date information of Inside the Walls videos, rants, interviews, and much, much more. Inside the Walls podcast is available at NationalArenaLeague.com/videos or everywhere on social at InWallsPod. So let's get it going. So we're doing something unique about our power rankings. We've gotten a lot of feedback from them. So we decided that if me and Zach's power rankings are identical, we won't break down every single pick or reason why. So basically what we're going to do is give you our 6 teams in order, and we'll do a synopsis on all 6.
There you go.
Now, we'll post it on Facebook and Twitter. So if you have debate there, we'll debate with you on there. But most likely, when our picks are different on our power rankings, then we'll have debates on the show. It's so we can have a faster episode to close out a Friday show and get you guys into NL action for the upcoming week. So we both agree on everything. So here we go. The power rankings for week 9 entering week 10 in the National Arena League are number 6, the Orlando Predators. Number 5, the San Antonio Gunslingers. Number 4, the Albany Empire. Number 3, the Jacksonville Sharks. Number 2, the Columbus Lions. And number 1, the Carolina Cobras.
Ta-da!
Yeah, I'm so happy that I actually got all the teams' names right this time. Hey, earlier this week I was confused. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the freaking Carolina Panthers.
You're on a roll.
I actually got. My synopsis of how my rank. I only had 2 big switches. I had Columbus jumping Jacksonville because the head-on victory last week, and also have Albany dropping as they've lost 3 consecutive games, and I have San Antonio moving up because they're catching on fire. They're getting momentum. And honestly, it's so hard for that bottom tier. Is Albany threatening to drop further? Possibly, if that streak still continues. Because San Antonio is getting hotter each and every single week. Especially if something happened this week, we could see a big jump where San Antonio jumps Albany in the rankings. But overall, mine were no major difference. Carolina stays up top because they won this weekend and they solidified themselves as the first place team. And Orlando at this point, they're just bad in the bottom, but they're not that far from San Antonio because it's as we described before, it's a cluster in the bottom of the division. Divisions.
Oh yes. It is definitely a cluster. I mean, this is another week. Great minds think alike. Sometimes we're a little off, but generally you and I, Jim, are very much on the same page on stuff. I mean, after last week, the logical conclusion was, okay, if Columbus wins, and obviously they're fully back, they fully have gotten what they needed to sustain and possibly challenge for a NAL title. Right now, last 2 weeks, it's looking proofs in the pudding at this moment. They definitely deserve to move up. Albany, I couldn't move them past Jacksonville just because of the fact that they're on a slide right now. They got to find some sort of buffer. It's not going to get easier this week, as we're going to talk. Columbus being one of, if not one of the hottest teams in the NAL, I would actually argue that it's San Antonio at the moment is, but Columbus is making an argument in that case. And they found their groove. They found the rhythm, offensive identity, defensively. I mean, what can we say at this point? We haven't already about them. Again, arguably the best defense, if not the best one in the NAL, just based on just pure statistics, if you wanted to go on that.
Agreed. They prove it each week. There's no debate there.
Right. And Carolina, once again, I mean, they got themselves reestablished after a rough previous week. As Jim talked, maybe, I know they had some issues going in, but they also possibly overlooked said opponent, and it just kind of it was different. We got some excuses or things about that week against Columbus prior. Nonetheless, they showed up at home. They took care of business. Things are on the rebound. They're still number one in the league, still having that case being said. And I mean, Orlando, they moved down, or they're just down because of the fact that they one slide, even as we talked in the recaps, like, even with the calls we discussed, and we're not going into it again. We had our share, but even with the calls discussed, I mean, that was their game to lose. San Antonio has found their rhythm. San Antonio has pieces on this roster. We didn't even mention Tony Sparrow, by the way, who fans have been saying, hey, don't forget about this guy. It's like, yeah, you're right. Defensively, he's been kicking.
Yeah.
I'll be saying he's been kicking ass. So I'll put it that way.
I completely forgot about that, dude. Yeah, good point. We were so concentrated on the issues of last weekend, we forgot to concentrate on the individual performances throughout the league.
Yeah, some things get overlooked, especially the passion of the heat of the moment and all that jazz. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but speaking of passion, our last episode, or on Wednesday Rewind, big time downloads. I appreciate all of you that listen to us. But let's just say it's caused some stirs within the league. So they're listening, and how you guys did it. Please stand by, because it looks like we're about to get something that every fan has been asking for since the start of the NAL in 2017. It's in the works. It's in the works. All of our services have said it's in the works, and probably within days, possibly within a week.
Find out. I hope this is the case. We'll hold our tongue until it is true, and we see it available. Nonetheless, though, power rankings wise, kind of like I said, kind of speaks for itself. Yeah. I mean, obvious wins and things of nature that just kind of move some teams up and down. Number one, still number one. A new number two that looks to be the true number two. In the middle of this whole standing, just still a mess, as well as the power rankings. It's only going to keep going that way until I really think until week 14 shows up and the final whistle's blown.
I got so many shirt ideas. That's going to be one of them. The muck. What type of shirt's that? The muck.
We're going to get that Jack out of the box. We'll get those organized.
Or don't let the bye week get you.
The bye week. Don't lose to the bye.
Still a classic.
Week, don't lose the bye week. It's a good one.
We got games this weekend, especially here in Jacksonville tonight. I'll be at the game. As you can tell, it's daylight, and we record this on Thursday, so technically it's tomorrow. I will be at the game.
Ooh.
So where do you want to start off? Do you want to go up to Albany, or do you want to go to San Antonio?
Well, you know what? I think if we're talking about a team, I think it's maybe not a team in crisis, but one that I think has to, it's kind of a make it or break it as the way the trend's been going. We got to go and talk about Sunday's game in Albany, and not just for that. They're also doing a pretty cool event right now, kind of honoring some previous arena teams that from the AFL days. Albany, as we know, it has a deep history in the arena scene. Turns out they were able to acquire or have produced. It's one of the two, but either way, they brought back banners this weekend. They're going to drop both the 1999 championship Albany Firebirds banner as well as the 2019 Empire banner to go alongside their 2021 banner. A nice nod to those fans, one that I think is really trying to generate the crowd to bring some people out and celebrate, kind of reminisce a little bit. And maybe hopefully rally the troops.
So no love for the Albany Conquest?
They didn't win any of them.
Oh.
Or any championships that I'm aware of in AF2 for them.
All right. Well, we recognize Jacksonville Tomcats here.
Well, I'll say this though. I have seen one person one or two at the most on Facebook on our chats.
Mm-hmm.
There are Conquest fans that they said that was one of their last games, so they are out there.
It's few or far between,
or they never left. I mean, that's the other part. But it's fine. I mean, kudos to you for remembering the Conquest. I was just thinking champions. I know they exist, so that's good.
The Conquest have a very underrated logo that was, as anybody realizes, the AF2 back in the day had some of the most epic logos for their teams.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they have a pretty cool logo. I think it's like a gladiator with a freaking sword stabbing somebody, I think, if I've remembered. But that's the old, technically, empire, because the gladiators was also Roman, and Roman was also notorious for being the empire. So the empire are hosting the Lions in the Coliseum of the MVP arena. I'm just trying to get Coliseum from like Roman days. It's a big game this weekend, crucial game. For the first time in Albany Empire history or Albany organization, I think we had somebody say that they haven't had a 3-game losing streak since the Firebird era. Yeah, it's been a long time. And now you go up against a team that's on fire, Columbus, healthy, has a QB, has a nasty defense, who almost beat Albany a couple weeks ago without a quarterback because they had Darren Daniel, who was hurt. Now they got a healthy guy. Defense is healthy, but there's a couple key things in this game that I want you, the fans, to understand. This is Stark's return to Albany from what happened in Columbus, and there's a lot of Albany fans that want revenge on him. FYI, don't take him off because he went off on Jacksonville. He went off on Carolina a couple weeks ago. It's because that game. I think this is going to be a darn right slugfest. I really do. I think Albany, I know how I said it was a trap game a couple weeks ago against them in San Antonio, which it was a trap game. And usually if you have that trap game mentality and you overlook, a losing streak follows. Deja vu, losing streaks follows. This is a crucial game for Albany. They don't win this game against Columbus. Number 2 seed gone. Possibly top 3 seed. You might be a 4 seed going back up to play Carolina. And if San Antonio starts catching on fire, you're trying to hold off the gunslingers for the 4. This is a crucial game. And for Manas and Levesque and Gaz and all the guys over there, from what I've seen, I guarantee what me and you have seen, Zach, is that you need to stop targeting one guy. Yes. Spread the love. Columbus is going to go in there. Jason Gibson is going to go in there and say, you know what? Darius Prince, you can beat me all night long. Don't care. We're going to stop everyone else. And if they do that, Columbus is going to go up there, get their first win in Albany, and they'll be celebrating in that field and basically eliminating Albany's chance of being the 1 seed and possibly eliminating them to be the 2 seed in the upcoming postseason. This is crucial. But for Columbus' sake, bring the same mentality that you had against Carolina, what you had against Jacksonville, to Albany. Hit Albany early. Get dysfunction on that line of scrimmage. Make Sam Castronova uncomfortable, or Warren Smith Jr., whoever is the starting quarterback, and punish. What they did against Jacksonville is they got Arvell Nelson out of the pocket. What they did against Carolina is got Jonathan Bain out of the pocket. 2 quarterbacks that are dynamic in the pocket, and they broke away and got them away from their game plan. Castronova is mobile, yes, but still, quarterbacks do not like to get chased out of the pocket every single possession, every single down. They like to be behind their center for like, oh, this is pretty nice. This is cool. Then throw the football. Castronova is key to this game. Columbus, their defense, have they been playing the last couple of weeks? Actually, since there's a couple losses they had, that their defense was solid. Like an Orlando game. If they bring that same mentality, if they attack Albany, like I think they're going to attack Albany, they're not going to go try and outscore Albany. They're going to slow down Albany, and they're going to shut down key components of Albany. What's going to happen is if Smith is having a good game for Columbus.
That's true.
Albany's in trouble. If Darius Prince is having 8 touchdowns and everyone else has nothing, Albany could be winning, but they could also be in trouble. If Castronova is spreading the love to everybody. Albany should win this game. And I did it last week when I said Jacksonville, prove it. I won't pick Jacksonville in Columbus to beat the Lions. And I was right. Jacksonville didn't prove it. Columbus is going back to Albany. They haven't won in Albany. They've been there 3 times. This is their 3rd time as a franchise, and they've lost both times. And they've had Mason Espinosa and the same dang good defense. But this time, there's no Tommy Grady on the other side. There's no Malachi Jones on the other side of the field. Completely different team. So it does a streak in Albany for myself. It does. Columbus gets the big win, and they solidify themselves as a top 2 team in the league. But this is going to be a downright slugfest in Albany, I believe. It's going to be a very entertaining arena football game to a score where people say, this is not an arena football score. That's basically what the game is going to be. It's going to be ugly. You're going to see 2 different type of game plans. You're going to see Columbus trying to shut down everyone else besides Prince, and you're going to see Castronova trying to get Prince and get someone else going. If someone else besides name Prince gets on fire or catches on fire, Albany wins. But I highly doubt that, seeing how Columbus has been playing over the last couple of weeks.
See, this is my thing. I got to ask you. My baseline for an arena score, and to some people this might even seem low, the winning team to me has to hit 40. That's where I think is like, if you are a decent arena team, you're going to hit 40 points every game. So do you not see that happening?
I see both of them touching 40, but it's low 40s.
Ooh,
like
okay.
45, 41 type of ordeal. Columbus is good when they hold their opponents down below 40 points. A couple of wins this year, they've shut down teams. One thing I know about Columbus, they can't shoot you out. Now, if it was Mason Espinosa, completely different. That's a powerful offense. But this version of Columbus has taken 9 weeks to find their identity. They're not going to throw it up and down the field on you. They're just not. They're going to nickel and dime you, and they're going to play good defense. Sounds like the outdoor game kind of. They're going to, game manage and we'll shut you down. That's the thing, the mentality. Columbus knows they can't get in the shootout with Albany. If they get in the shootout with Albany, Albany's going to win this game. They have to contain Castronova and make Castronova one-dimensional, meaning to only one receiver. If Wade's having a day, if Dwayne Hollis is having a day, it's gone. That's a game over for Columbus, because that means Albany is all cylinders.
Interesting. Because here's the thing. I want to see, for the most part, how does the Empire defense respond to what appears to be at least a quarterback that's a little more in sync with the system that Jason Gibson wants to run. Just no offense to Darren Daniel or Danny Southwick, but they weren't getting it done. I know Daniel was kind of thrown in there last minute. Southwick was brought in and he didn't seem to gel as much. I know he was also, injuries kind of affect him at times, but still it wasn't working. So this was the solution. So far, it's done great in 2 games. Smith's been mobile. Smith has been able to find and make decisions quickly and in a timely order. He's been able to drop open dimes to receivers that are getting open. That's something that was, we noticed in games, and that people had been telling us, is that, hey, these, like Townsend and Forston and, the company, they all, or Desmond Reese, they all have been able to find openings. It's just that you need to be able to throw those guys that are open a chance to get a ball. And so Smith has been able to do that. I want to see, can Albany respond with that being a more competent position now that is under center? And honestly, can you continue the process of, like you're talking, can we diversify who's getting the ball? I'll tell you one thing that Columbus did, Jason Gibson did a great job in their last matchup, for the fact that Darius Prince had 1 catch for 21 yards. That catch, credit, was a 21-yard touchdown that really sealed the deal for the Empire. But for 3 3/4 quarters, Darius Prince had no catches. They were physical with him at the line, and they made him work for every yard he had to run. Question is, have you worked enough in practice and on the side to where you can get Aaron Washa, Daquan Wade and company all in sync? Get Dwayne Hollis, can you get him a little more involved too? I've been surprised he's been considered a decent receiving threat, but they don't target him as much. So can you get the other 3 that are very capable of causing damage to get more involved and make it less one-sided or less centered on Darius Prince? There were signs last week. They made steps, I thought. Washa, I think, is the key as that number 2 right now, especially with Antoine Grant on IR, no timetable filled return right now or not. So that being said, can you get him more involved? I'm not sure. Maybe they have. Columbus's defense was very much able to, even with injuries aside or not, they were able to hold things down, for the most part against Jacksonville and against Carolina. Yeah, DeQuan Murray did go off, but, turnovers, pressures, those things affect a quarterback. And, if you can get a pick on Arvell Nelson, we've seen for sure, if you pressure Sam Castronova, something will happen or he'll start having inconsistent throws. Something that's been more common with Albany in this losing streak. A lot more 4 and outs than when the early goings with Sam starting under center. Something you got to clean up. And then you have to do against Columbus. You have to take your drives. You have to be able to convert. You got to be able to find ways to score against this defense. And I think with Daniel Smith under center now with the Lions, I don't trust the Albany defense to hold things down long enough. I feel you're going to have a turnover at some point that flips this game. Columbus, Jason Gibson, I think, like you're saying, they're going to walk away for Albany, unfortunately, a special night. They're going to walk away with their first win in the MVP arena. And as Jason Gibson put it, the rivalry will officially be born.
Yeah, he did say that. I forgot that.
He said that's what he said. You got to beat the other team first.
Yeah, it's we're both had the same mentality where it's Albany, prove us wrong type. You got to start off hot in the gate. You guys are stumbling, and right now, if you were following trends, you're trending the wrong direction of all the teams. Mm-hmm. But you win this weekend, you shut me and Zach up. Hey, then you got your schedule gets quite favorable, in my opinion. But this is a tough game for Columbus.
Well, I'll tell you, Columbus, I think they really need this win, maybe even more so than Albany in terms of the playoff race. I mean, you look at what Columbus has to deal with after Albany here with this last matchup. They get 2 matchups against Carolina, San Antonio, who's been hot, and they only won by 2 last time. Credit. Again, the Lions have a great defense, but that offense has only gotten better since their last matchup. That should be an exciting game in the Columbus Civic Center, but you have to go to Carolina twice, by the way, in that 3-week span, and you end with Orlando. Now, if Orlando can find a way to play a consistent 60 minutes, I mean, to me, that's a tougher schedule to have to slog through when you have to face the number 1 team in the league 2 more times. And I know they did a great job last time, but I don't know. I'm curious if maybe not excuses, but reasons hold up again in a second or third, and you got to go to the snake pit. It's tough. You got to play number 1 team 3 times, 2 of them at the back half of the season. You want to get wins where you can. Mm-hmm. So you might want to have a little more. This will be a little more urgency, I think, for Jason Gibson to be like, guys, we got to walk away here. Give us a little bit more of a buffer from the muck, as you put it, as we put it down below. That way, at least if we lose 1 or 2 of these things, we can still get in the playoffs. And then the fun begins.
Chaos begins. More chaos
begins in late July. Exactly.
Yeah. More chaos. I expect chaos to happen. Even this week, I expect chaos to happen. Especially, I think chaos might happen in San Antonio this week. But will it?
Ooh. Again, I don't put it past that they're the hottest team in the NAL right now.
Yeah, the San Antonio Gunslingers are in 2 weeks have impressed just not myself, not just Zach, but the NAL community. And now the city of San Antonio is finally finding out, hey, they have an arena football team. That's credit to the John Wayne ownership group of the San Antonio Gunslingers. But this week, they play the team of the NAL, the team that demolished them in Greensboro a few weeks ago. This time, Greensboro takes the road trip to San Antone to take on the Gunslingers. Does Jonathan Bain and the Gunslingers wrap up a postseason berth this week against the San Antonio Gunslingers? Here's the reason. We are finally in playoff scenario season. First week, week 10. Carolina makes a playoff spot with a win this weekend over San Antonio and a Orlando loss. If Jacksonville loses with with Carolina winning, Carolina cannot clinch because they still have 2 games remaining against Jacksonville, and they don't have the head-to-head against Jacksonville, so technically can't clinch. So we have playoff scenarios already in effect this week with Carolina. Do the Carolina Cobras clinch a postseason berth? Well, I will tell you that they will defeat the San Antonio Gunslingers in San Antonio. I think San Antonio's great run, great energy is sparking. I think they're on the upswing of an organization. but I have a feeling that Coach Rez and the Carolina Cobras want to wrap up a postseason berth so they can rest some players because they don't have bye weeks, rest some players so they can be healthy for this season coming up here, our playoffs coming in a couple of weeks. Keys to the game of this game for San Antonio. Play have you been doing the last couple of weeks? Good defense and keeping everything in front of you. If Bain is having a Bain day, meaning he's throwing for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns, you're not beating Carolina. Carolina has too many weapons on the offensive side of the ball where Bain can just two-step drop, float the ball down the field, and Kendrick Ings, DJ Myers, Lance Evans is down there, James Summers will catch the ball. They have too many weapons. To San Antonio, your keys to the game, in my opinion, sack. Bain is a must. Get him off center. When he hikes, better be in his face. If not, he's going to tear you apart. Very basic, no matter if it's an outdoor game, no matter if it's the Super Bowl, no matter if it's preseason. It's amazing. You get pressure on the quarterback, how your chances of winning increase tremendously. But for San Antonio, your special teams game, Kylie Rashad, you're epic, but don't expect you get the football in this game because TC Stevens and how Coach Rez does his special teams, he's not going to kick you the ball. He's not going to make you beat him. He's going to make your offense beat him, not the special teams. So I have a feeling that Carolina's going to use TC Stevens as a weapon and eliminate San Antonio's weapon and Kylie Rashad on the special team sides. I think Kylie Rashad is still going to eat. I think Phil Barnett's still going to eat on offense. And I think Robert Kent's going to make some plays too. This is going to be a very exciting game. I guarantee you this. I'll make a bet right now that San Antonio does not get blown out in this game. This will be a very competitive game. This is not going to be what we saw in Greensboro a couple weeks ago. It's not at all. It's going to be a lot closer. No. There could be controversy because it's arena football. It happens. But this is going to be a close game. But I do expect San Antonio to have the biggest crowd they've ever had in Freeman Coliseum this week. And why not? It's 2-game winning streak, or 2 of the last 3 win streak vibing. You're getting packed. They have good things going on. I think they're doing cowbells. I think they're giving away cowbells. So they're going to try to make that arena. They're trying to make that arena loud. So expect a rowdy crowd. I expect the Carolina Cobras to go down there and take care of business because the faster they can wrap up a playoff spot and the faster they can wrap up the number 1 seed, the faster they can get Bain some time to rest, DJ some time to rest, and key players on that team if they want to be the team hosting up the trophy here in August. So I have Carolina Cobras winning. Sorry if I didn't make that big.
No, you made it. You're just reaffirming it. Just reaffirming. Okay. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing.
Lock it down. That's my final answer. You are the weakest link. Dang it.
I'm gonna lay it down here. I don't know if this is. I haven't been able to find if Freeman has been given a nickname. We got the Jungles both in Orlando and Columbus. We got the Shark Tank. The Empire don't really have a nickname, I guess, for MVP Arena, but I guess the Kingdom, the Death Star, one of the two. I'm calling this the Saloon. Yeah, it doesn't. I could tell from the pause. I might have not given. This might not be your favorite.
No, it's Texas wise.
I had a shooting gallery. I had the stable. Man, not stable. That'd be if it was like horses.
Well, they do have a horse. They have a horse. They have a person with a gunslinger.
They do.
Yeah. So
I'm sticking with Saloon. I'm sticking to my guns. Nope. Totally pun intended with this. I'm sticking my guns.
I was gonna call it the Tombstone, but okay.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
The Tombstone?
Texas Tombstone. I don't even know if that's too much. We got fans that watch those movies, Tombstone, Yellowstone, whatever stone. I don't care.
Gunslingers fans, you know what? Drop a comment in the video or online. Let us know what you think the nickname is. I'm calling it the Saloon. That's my
target
personal
range.
Targeting range. I mean, you can do
lasso.
Like I said, lasso.
Horns down. No, you can't do that in Texas. They'll get offended. No, yeah.
No, I'm messing around. Look,
high noon.
The Cobras are coming on in. This is an adjusted roster for Fred Shaw and company. they're going to give Carolina and Coach Rez and co a lot better of a contest this time around. I'm very much expecting at this point. I think any team during the season, I wouldn't be shocked if they can win against each other right now. It's pretty good competition across the board. San Antonio, I think, is caught up in just recent weeks. And I think one thing that helps, we talked about this in the recap, but adding Phil Barnett back, getting him back after he had originally signed and moved on to another league. He came back here. Having that second option across from Khalil Rashad, having Anthony Johnson as that third position, as that third receiving option that does a great job being kind of the complementary piece of those two. It's helped Robert Kent tremendously in having options. They've gotten chemistry down in recent weeks. They've been working at that. That's been helping them a lot. And they stick to their guns. Again, pun totally intended. I'm just going to keep going with the gun puns as much as I can. Last week with Orlando, it was just stay the course. They'll find the opportunities. They make opportunities for themselves. That's what they've been doing these recent weeks. And I don't see them winning against Carolina, but I'm with you. I think it's going to be a damn good show over there in Freeman Coliseum. Folks that are coming out there are going to have a good time, and it's going to be at least a close game. You won't see a blowout in the third going into halftime, then getting completely swept away in the third quarter again, like they had several weeks prior. This time around, when the Cobras come out west, things will be a little more dicey. They're going to have be much more on their best game as possible. But I think really for the Cobras overall, they still have more of the talent on that side of the ball. I mean, any one of their receiving options also has been playing great defense. Kendrick Ings won Ironman of the week last week.
He almost said the Y word.
What
you said Ironman of the week.
No, I didn't say year. There's still plenty of time. There's still a little bit of time with that. But no, last week, I mean, like I said, he can pick you off. He can run it back. He can go deep on you. I mean, that's just one example. DJ Myers very much has been able to do that. We've talked at length on how Joe Powell has become more and more so a vital two-way player. I mean, Zach Brown, who you've been referencing as a lot, for obvious reasons, and me too. I mean, clearly, someone who's already won Ironman of the Week this year at his own rank. I mean, they've got multiple weapons that are two-way stars that can go in opposite directions. And they got, even though it's funny, we curse them with getting more, it seems like they've been getting more sacks allowed in just weeks since we interviewed Jonathan Bain and Coach Rez. They still have solid line play across the board. And again, their choice to have where, it's Ziegler there being the specialist rather than a receiver. It's paid off in dividends for how versatile they can make this. I mean, I haven't even mentioned James Summers, Lance Evans, of course. I mean, there's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of there's just a lot of pieces you can interchange that they can keep at the same height, same drive, at least throughout a contest. There's no letting off the gas pedal if you can have guys you can throw in and they're 100% ready to go when needed at those positions. So I think they just have a little too much. They got a little too much in the tank, I think, for the Gunslingers to handle at this point.
And I still believe that we have a big influence of the reason why that team's is good. I'm still taking that credit from
holding that one dearly. Maybe
from week 6 of last season. Damn it, it's mine.
At least till the end of this year, I'm holding on to that for sure. I'll clench it tightly. I got the Cobras walking away though. But look, folks going out to Freeman. I mean, I will say I'm not going to be surprised if the Gunslingers find a way to make an upset at this point. They've just made a massive turnaround. New ownership's done a great job filling in pieces to make this a competitive team midway through the year again. I mean, again, they still have a chance at the playoffs. So this is a game that is on the line that, it's not out of the question. You get this upset, you're still in the fray. You want to get wins where you can. So kudos to them. But yeah, hey, if they get an upset, I will love to talk about that too come our recap next week. So don't count them out. I just think the Cobras are going to get the win here.
We love to eat crow.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. We love to eat crow.
We are all right being proven wrong. Yeah. I am okay with that.
Let's wrap up our predictions with the game of the night here on Friday night.
Yes.
The Jacksonville Sharks take on the Orlando Predators for the second game of a 3-game series between the two, and a crucial game in this series. Jacksonville wins this, they'll win the season series, and probably the pivotal tiebreaker to get the team that is in the playoffs and who is out. For the Orlando Predators, with the close loss last week against San Antonio and the come from behind and almost beating the Jacksonville Sharks a few weeks ago, the Orlando Predators are struggling and trying to find their way. If you look at trends, they're the ones that are trending down this time. I'll be live in the Shark Tank representing the Jacksonville Sharks. And, of course, it's the rivalry between us and the Predators. I can't miss that game. I missed the one 2 weeks ago, but that was for different reasons, family reasons, good things, but different reasons. So I will put 2 weeks of frustration in this game because I missed the first one. I'm probably be extra drunk, probably, don't know, possibly, don't know. Depending. Last time the Orlando Predators came into the building when I was there, Brian Hicks shut me up a couple times, and DJ Myers made a point that he is one of the best receivers in the league. So keys of the game of this is Arvell Nelson. Keep doing what you're doing. You're home. You play a lot better at home than you do on the road. Just don't jinx it, Zach. Don't say that he's going to throw a crucial interception this week.
I'll shush my mouth.
Nay.
I'm just pointing out a trend, man. It's just it's something that he's done in the past. That's it.
Positive vibes. Bruce Fraba. The two teams are heading in different directions right now. Jacksonville, yes, with a close loss last week. You already know my opinion about that game. A close loss last week against Columbus. I think they're in a better situation right now. It's superhero and teacher appreciation day in a Shark Tank. I've seen tickets pre-sales, and it's going to be good numbers. I'll be in attendance. At least 2 seats I know will be taken tomorrow. But overall, this game is going to be key. Naquan Murray and Rob Jones have to step up again like they did last week, and if they do, Jacksonville's defense will be the ones to show up. Will they be the first half of last week's or 2 weeks ago's game against Orlando? Can they bring that mentality again for 4 quarters? Or will this be the copycat of a second half against Orlando like we did 2 weeks ago? For Orlando, get Beavers involved, get Outlaw involved, let Cato do his thing. Because when they were doing their thing earlier last week, they were dominating until San Antonio was like, we're done with that. And San Antonio got back in the game. You have to have that mentality. Bring that mentality, jump out of the gate fast against Jacksonville and go score for score. Because we've said multiple times over the last couple of weeks, you got to outscore Jacksonville. They're not going to stop you. They're going to outscore you. It's who can do it the quickest. This is the game that I'm not like really guaranteeing a victory. It's one of my only Sharks games that I'm like a little worried because Jacksonville with the win here can solidify themselves as a playoff team. The loss here gets Orlando back in the fold, gets San Antonio back in the fold, and it's more chaos in the second half. I'm going to say, sticking with my fandom, Jacksonville wins this game, is in the Shark Tank. I'm in attendance, but it's going to be one of those nail-biting type of games. I think Cato is going to bring in the mentality like he did in the first half against San Antonio and the second half against Jacksonville a couple of weeks ago to Orlando. I think Higgins has made some adjustments that give Jacksonville interesting. And matter of fact, I kind of see Arvell making a dumb mistake that keeps Orlando in the game, but I don't see Orlando win this game. I do see a mid-range type of scoring game, mid-40s, low 50s, but this is going to be one of those traditional cardiac moments between the Orlando Predators and Jacksonville Sharks where historically that type of rivalry. It comes down to whoever has the ball last and whoever makes a dumb mistake that is the result of someone who else wins. So sticking to fandom, I like Jacksonville this one, but I'm not confident in this win at all. I need to see a big performance by Naquan and a big performance by Rob Jones to make me feel comfortable about this game. But right now, I'm a little hesitant on picking Jacksonville, but I will pick Jacksonville. So if this is political season, I'm slightly leaning towards Jacksonville, slightly. But the votes are still coming in, so it's not, we can't say projection, but yeah, slightly leaning toward Jacksonville. Real not confident. There. It's getting there. I'm not really confident in the game this week, honestly. So yeah, I got the Sharks in a close one in the Shark Tank over the Orlando Predators.
Well, sure. And look, I'm going to kind of just talk on something that also, like Orlando, we talked is the trend is they haven't been playing complete games for several portions of the season that I can tell. Last one against the Gunslingers this previous week, something else is starting to become more of an apparent trend. They're a little turnover happy. It's execution has not been there in some recent weeks. And I think that's something that, I mean, if we go 2 weeks prior, one of the key moments in that last game against Jacksonville was a fumble recovery for 6 for the Sharks in the opening half. That is something you cannot, 4 and outs, turnovers that convert to points. Orlando, that is something that has become a trend, is that they have at least one too many slip ups, not just 4 and outs where they slow down, but also turnovers that are costly in the end. Like I said, I mentioned in the recap, there was one of the interceptions Cato threw last week was just a really great one-on-one matchup that Clarence Williams didn't come down with. So that converted to 6. They were up by 2 touchdowns at that point. They could have gone up earlier by 20 plus if they just run a ball in at the 1 yard line. They had a fumble on the exchange going for a TD, and that one turned into 6 going the opposite way. Yeah. You have to be able to execute, and you can't let mistakes like that bring you down. Possessions, they are so much more vital in this sport than they are in standard outdoor football. There's I
actually got a stat on that, by the way.
You do?
Yeah.
Please. Do you have it right now?
I have a stat from Orlando. I do have it because I want to write this down because I was told this. Teams in the NAL over the last 4 years that have 3 or 4 scoreless drives have lost 93% of the games they've played in.
I believe it.
That's just not Orlando. That's the whole league-wide. Right.
But I believe that. You in arena, you should be expecting if I had to say, upwards 90% of your drives better finish in points. If you're going to win most of your games, you have to consider that many drives, because it's outdoor games. Okay, maybe you're leaning more 50, 60, 70% is pretty good. If you're winning a game, 50 to 40, you still can maybe feasibly win. No. Arena, you got to be pushing like 80 to 90 every contest if you want to walk away with victory. That's just how it is. That's how the sport was designed. It was designed for fast-paced action, designed for you're almost guaranteed to go down. It comes down to 1 or 2 crucial defensive stops. That's arena football. Unfortunately, Orlando, that's where they're losing poorly, is the execution is losing them in the possession battle. Agreed. And that's where they haven't been able to become – they aren't as good as some of the higher-up teams, like, for example, lately, like a Carolina and Albany. Even though Albany's on a 3-game skid, they still, majority-wise, have been able to keep up with teams because they can – they're able to go and convert a little bit more. The Predators for this, it's simple. Just eliminate a few of the mistakes and, don't get into a lull. That's it. And one extra piece you have against you this week, and credit, he got injured in this contest, is, you have Nyquan Murray, who has been now kind of the centerpiece for the Sharks. How much can you mitigate him? Devin Wilson's status is still shaky, as we're understanding. So you don't have to deal with Wilson this time. You have Naquan Murray to focus on. I'm not going to curse you, but you already know what the other part of this is, just on him talking about Arvell Nelson. Clearly, if you look for that, and Rakeem Cato, keep making smart decisions. You overall is one of the better QBs in this league, but one too many times it feels like drives stall out because they just can't connect with a pretty good receiving core. If I'll be honest, it kind of surprises me, honestly. This is a crucial game because the rubber match could be awaiting next week for decisions between Jacksonville and Orlando. And not to mention that, Orlando is still 3-5. You get a win, you'll be 4-5, or Jacksonville will be 4-6 going into the rubber match next week. And then if you get 2 wins in a row, you then push down Sharks. You can then move and bump back up. It just makes it a little more crazy, but you want to get to that point. You at least want to get that chance to where you can go and say, hey, at least the head-to-head, if it comes to a tiebreaker, we got that. Final shot, crucial game for the Predators. I just think the Sharks are going to walk away with it just because they've been a little more consistent, and, Burley's unit, it feels like it's got things down pretty well. Last week, I felt they ran into a stone wall with how Columbus runs defensively. Simple as that.
I wish I had your confidence.
I'm
nervous about this game, bro.
I'm just nervous. The Predators, I've been waiting to see if defensively too they can take that next step as well. I haven't fully seen that yet. and that's something else holds up. I just don't think the Predators will be able to slow down the Sharks enough. I also don't think that the Sharks will. I don't think this game's going to go into a 32-6 halftime where maybe the Sharks were in a lull coming in that second half and they felt they maybe had it in the bag and got a little too close.
If it's like that again, I don't see Jacksonville doing what they did 2 weeks ago. They'll remember we can't give up what happened.
Right. I just don't see two straight.
6 a half, it's going to be final score is going to be like 64-14 or something like that.
With how crucial this game is for that season series, I just don't think Jeff Higgins' squad does that 2 matchups in 3 straight weeks. They have to be on their best game. I think they have to be preaching that in practice this week. It's like, this is one of our most important contests of the year.
At least we've all agree. Usually we have one team that we pick against, but me and you we agree on our power rankings and we agree on the teams this week. That's odd. I think it's like first time ever in the podcast.
I do think tonight's game, it should be fun. It all depends to me on how Orlando responds to recently having just sluggish quarters or sluggish periods of games in recent weeks. That's it. Yeah. It's it. The ball's in their court. They can keep up with Jacksonville offensively. Question is, can you do that for 60 minutes? That's your challenge. And can you do it smoothly, limit your turnovers and your lost possessions? Because that's been, like I said, those 2 things, those are their biggest killers right now this year. It's the reason they're 3-5.
And I've noticed on the chats through every game, I see people, the score's tied. It's like, yeah, but this team has the possession advantage. Mm-hmm. And people always tell me, the score is tied. I said, no, you don't understand. Yes, right. The score is tied, but the team who has the football has the possession of the advantage, meaning they can score and have the lead and the possession advantage. You got to steal a possession on them. So this game is key. And that's one thing Orlando I've seen last couple of weeks. They've had 3 drives last week that produced 0 points. They had almost 4 drives 2 weeks ago. It's Jacksonville. Those 4 possessions you give up are hard to get back. Yeah, you'll score, get the points back, but you're still down by 3 or 4 possessions. You have to gain those possessions. So when you hear us say the possession advantage, that's the reason why. It doesn't matter what the score is. Now, I've seen teams with the possession advantage and they trail. And the reason why they have the advantage is because halftime starts and they get the ball. So that's where they get the gain. So I've seen a lot of people combat us about the possessions advantage and the score. But every team in this game that we cover, it's all about one thing about the arena football. I like the outdoor game. Outdoor game is pivotal about this final scoreboard and the points. In the arena game, you got 2 things. You got the clock and you got possessions. The score doesn't mean anything. If you lead the possession battle, you're going to win these games. And the score will tend to go your way. So when we say battle of possessions, that's the reason why. Possessions are so crucial in the arena game, period. It's not like the outdoor game.
Right. I mean, possessions, timing of set possessions, if we're talking coin flips, I mean, I'll be honest with you, that's the first thing I always look at is the coin flip, even more so than in NFL or outdoor leagues is, okay, who's got that ball first? Because you're almost expecting every possession. Like I said, you expect almost every possession to score. Question is, if the game flow, for example, if it's one that you're going back and forth, every possession for a team has been a score. Do you tie that up? For example, are you tied up and say you have the ball last going to half? Do you get that extra score? And then who has the ball then the second half? For example, if you get the first kick and you are starting the game with that kick, you want to at least be up a touchdown to me going into halftime so that you can at least have a buffer and you still have, to me, a possession lead in that sense, even if you tie. Now, if you're the team that defers, you want to be tied at the minimum going into halftime, because that means you get the ball back. You then flip the script on the opposing team. That's where we talk about how, you can be tied if you get extra point. You can be tied with extra points and such. Say you matching up deuce for deuce or not. And of course, that's another element to the deuce rules too that can flip things. But say it's just touchdowns. Kicking isn't doing jack squat for you. That's where it comes into play. If you're tied, it's about who has that said ball next that then can push it to 7. That's what you're looking for. To me, that's who it is. If you get a 4 and out, for example, and you're tied, that then flips the game the opposite way. So that's what you're looking at. Tie games are not really too tied. It's because defense is very it's defensively in arena. It's not as present or dominant as it is outdoors. So that's why we look at it that way too. Just a little more description on how we describe possession battle, possession game, the possession, I guess, economy is how I put it in recent shows too.
Yeah. And that's key. And that's one thing I love about this game. It's just not about scoreboards, not about turnovers. It's possession battle, the possession game, the score, the time, everything gets into it. And so when you get down to that 1 minute warning situation, that's when these possession advantages speak English. Possession advantage becomes crucial when we get to those 1 minute warnings. And so when you see me or Zach say that online, we're just telling you who has the advantage. Usually the team that has the advantage is the team that's going to win no matter what the score is. But if you get a turnover, that advantage flips on your side of the fair. So anyways, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is week 10 preview here on the final walkthrough, getting you guys ready for NAL action tonight here in Jacksonville, tomorrow in San Antonio, and up in Albany for I think one of the marquee matchup of the week between the Columbus Lions and the Albany Empire. So
it's only been 10 weeks. That's also crazy. It's been 10 weeks already.
Yeah, 10 weeks.
A little bit to me.
And unlike 4 teams in the league, me and you have to do every single week because we don't get bye weeks here in the Inside the Walls podcast.
Hey.
See, that's how I do it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Twitter at NWallsPod, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, nationalarenaleague.com/videos to get all your updated information from the Inside the Walls podcast. Also, like, subscribe, hit the bell because it builds morale for our lovely podcast. We're getting there. We're down to 12 more subscribers to get 100 subscribers. And when we get 100 subscribers, one of you will get 2 tickets to an NAL game of their choosing. Could be an NAL playoff game or the NAL championship, depending on how the season ends. But for myself and Zach Kallman, we can't leave without one thing.
Eliminate the mistakes. And one way you do that is just stop. Don't be a jack out of the box. Free first downs are always going to be your worst nightmare.
Yes, because jack out of the box can really continue the possession advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been episode 53 here at Inside the Walls podcast. Enjoy this weekend's action in the National Arena League. We'll see you Wednesday.
Covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Bernier.